Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. This is the Quincy Country Club tasting with Sarah Goretti. I'm Lane Schonkirk with Verve Imports. I work with Sarah directly from Italy. And we work with Ranella Company and Jim Ranella here in town, and we want to just thank Country Club and Sarah giving up her Saturday night, and Ranella Company, Country Club, everyone. Thank you for putting this event together. We really appreciate it. So I will take it over to Sarah, or give it to Sarah now. And so Sarah, feel free to introduce yourself, and we'll get started with the tour portion.
Buongiorno, actually buonasera. We are now at 9 p.m. here in Italy, and I'm glad to have you here. I'm in the main room of the Goretti Winery Tower, our 12th century castle that is actually the symbol of all the wineries, in Perugia. I don't know if you can see here. Also on our first wine, we are going to taste the Grechetto, the indigenous grape from Umbria, the white wine. We have impressed here a very beautiful tower from the 12th century, is where we are. And actually with my sister, I'm in the 4th generation wine producing. I'm one of the 2 sisters I was used to say the last of the family. Now there is also actually my little boy, but he is still 2 years old. So still me and my sister taking care about the business. The previous generation is our father, Stefano Goretti, and Gianluca is our uncle. He is the technical part. He takes care about all the kind of, the techniques in the fields, from the grapes, from the terroir to the wine producing. And instead our father is more actually the number person, we say. So it's more the accounting. And me and my sister Tulia are taking care about the promotion, but also about the export. And we are doing, especially in this period, a lot of live sessions about walking in the vineyards and going around of Umbria. Umbria is the green out of Italy. Actually, we are right in the middle of the country, exactly between Rome and Florence. It's a beautiful place because it's actually considered very relaxing. And it's for sure very far away from the big cities, Rome and Florence, and the chaotic sounds and sometimes noises. We are in a very relaxing place with very sweet hills around us. And the family is here since 8 generations, and it's 4 generations that we are producing wine. And I'm honest. I lost my routine of talking in English. So in case you don't understand me, please, I'm used to talk a lot. So block me, say stop, Sarah. I will stop and repeat, because I'm usually getting better glass by glass. But usually in this period of isolation with this coronavirus, we actually haven't had many occasions to share our information in English, so I'm not used to explain anymore. So please, Line, I will be in your hands to say, Sarah, it was not clear. I will not be offended.
Oh, Sarah, your English is wonderful. So much better than what my Italian would be if we were doing this reverse. So please continue, but really, again, appreciate it. And it's so excited to work with a family-owned winery, and just the history that is with your family in Umbria is truly fascinating. And I think it's really obvious in the vineyards and in these wines. And I'm just really excited to share all of these aspects with everyone. So I don't know if you want to start on with the tour. We can see the video that you recorded, you said earlier today.
Right. We have done, we have one video that is made with my sister, my family, all the winery tour. Just a little explanation, 3 minutes, but gives an entire picture of what we are here at the Goretti family and winery. And also, yes, we just have done today with the drone. We had fun with our filmmaker doing this little video, but just a few other minutes that we want to share with you. Let me see if I will be good. Usually I'm not so very, but first of all, this is, can you see it?
I cannot see the video
Oh.
right now. And I'm
Just
not.
a second, let me see how I can do it. Allora. Just a second. This is the bello della diretta. We will say in Italian, this is what happens in when you are in the direct. La pausa, new share. Sharing, probably screen. What do you see? Do you see my screen now?
Yes, I see your screen and I see like the Zoom in the background.
Okay, very good. So now I'm going to show you the video that we have done today.
Okay.
And then more information about the one.
Perfect.
This is the presentation again. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Very good. So Nonna Marcella on the right and Nonno Gisberto. Actually, the second generation wine producing at the Goretti Winery. Nonna is today 84 years old. Actually, my sister, our father, and me.
My family wineries are located in Central Italy, in Umbria region. We are very passionate, dedicated to our tradition, blended with our lifestyle. Biodiversity, a daily innovation. Today, at Goretti Winery, we are in fourth generation wine producing.
Okay, here we are.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for showing that video. It just looks so beautiful and perfect.
Thank you. That was a sort of a very interesting video because in a very short time, so the family, the hard work, the long work we have behind every singular bottle. And there is the passion of the Italian cuisine with Nonna Marcella, actually our real grandmother that everybody calls Nonna. And also our vineyards that are around the winery in a very nice place because are close to a very big forest that is actually the forest of Umbria. the last corner of the forest. So let me show you now the video of the drone and what is it today, because that was an entire video of what is the Goretti Winery. But we want to make a sort of a little walk of a few minutes with you at the Goretti Vineyards.
Perfect.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is our 12th century tower. Today, just 4 hours ago, and our vineyards. Today was a very sunny day. And this is the Sangiovese.
Okay.
And at the moment, the grapes are very little, but the plants are in a very growing moment, sort of very green.
Yeah.
Question, can you see it well, or is it a little bit disturbed?
It's a little in and out, but
Let me see if there was a problem because it was not completely uploaded.
oh, okay.
It doesn't seem because no, it doesn't seem. Sorry, I'm just trying, and if it will not be better, we will keep continuing. Seems that the connection is low, but it doesn't. Sorry, let me try just a few seconds behind. So anyway, you can see better. I think now it's better. Yes, we need to give the time to upload it. This is about from 15, 18 to 20 years old vines. So it's a nice clone of Sangiovese that we use for our Larringatore.
Okay.
And it's called the San Lorenzino. Actually, it was found a little saint, a little statue on this vineyard of San Lorenzo, a saint. That's why in the very past they called the San Lorenzo. Yes, this is the kind of soil we have. It's a sort of mixed climb soil. And this is on the right, the very big forest we have close to our vineyard. We have a lot of wild animals coming over there.
Okay.
And the forest gives a very nice mitigation and a very particular microclimate, very fresh the air during the evening, and during the day it's completely without the wind. This is another vineyard we have. It's just a few meters, a few minutes from the winery. And this is 100% Grechetto, the first wine we are going to taste today. You can see that it's quite young, but very genuine. It's 100% Grechetto grade. Here the terroir is very limestone and emphasize very much the minerality of the grape. and the solar exposure, it's really important here for this kind of grape because it has east-west, so it's always under the sunshine. So the grapes really grow up very well here, and it permits us to obtain a very healthy product at the end for our harvest. We actually don't have any certification for organic wines, but we are considering with a very low content of sulfates and sulfites, and we don't use anything chemical, but we work on the vineyards with our team since more than 20 years, always same team, taking care of every single vintage. This is a nice part of the video because we kept for 3 hours, so you can see that is made a little bit more quicker the video, but now it's turn again at the real walking on between the vines. Oh. Up. What happened here? Let's see. Let's see what happened here. Il bello della diretta again. What happened?
I'd say it's okay if it isn't loaded.
Yes, I think it was a sort of interrupt. I don't know, sorry. Yes, this is Cracchetto again. And we are back at the winery, the tower. So you can see all the entire tower here in front of you, and the park we have around, and the winery, the main warehouse. Just in front of the tower is the place where we bottle the wine. Instead, just a little bit down, there is the other warehouse where there is the aging. This is the vineyard from the winery we made with a drone, and at the very end, close to the bottom of the hill, there is Perugia. But here behind us, there is the vineyard that we just have seen before. Okay. So it's just a few minutes. Yes, you can see this is the area of the DOC Colli Perugini area with our sweet hills of Umbria. Very green, not many buildings, very natural. And it has a very particular, size and a very particular shape of our vineyard closest to the winery. We are used to say that the wine is made in the grapes. You can see now what will be the harvest 2020. For sure, a year that nobody will forget. Something very, very particular, probably unusual, very difficult. Until now, we have to say that probably the best part was the nature. The nature is keep going forward, and they are not giving us very many problems like for the entire life or our part, the humans, but the grapes are really doing well. So we are happy to say that we are going to have a nice element that we will work at the winery. So you can see it's that was just now it's almost 9:30, and it was about at 4:30, so 4 or 5 hours ago. Okay, I think we are almost at the end, but I don't want to interrupt you to be here. So welcome again at the Goretti Vineyards and ready to drink our wines with you. This is a speed up video again, so you are watching a couple of hours in a few minutes, just to make a sort of spend a day with us, and actually afternoon with us here at the Goretti Winery. Okay, here we are. We are back. Okay, now I need to.
I got
okay.
you. Perfect.
Very good. Here we are for the tasting, but I think it's very important to see where the grapes come from and to understand very well what we are and what there is behind every single bottle.
Absolutely. Thank you. I feel like seeing those videos, you really understand how Umbria is the green heart of Italy. I mean, those surrounding hills were just gorgeous in color, and the vineyards itself. I mean, thank you so much for taking that time to film that video. I really felt like I was walking in the vineyards, and I wish I actually was walking in the vineyards with you.
Right. Thank you, Laine. My pleasure.
Yes, so we will leave it open for a couple of questions right now. If anyone has anything regarding the winery or the property itself or the soils, of course, we'll be taking questions throughout anyways if you're still thinking on them, but just wanted to give this opportunity for anyone to ask.
Right.
So,
right. Ask me whatever you have, any doubt, any curiosity, want to know, I'm here. I'm here for you.
Awesome. Well, I don't see any questions popping up or anyone taking their microphone off. So let's go ahead and get started with the very fun part of this event and the tasting portion.
Very good. So we will start with our Grechetto, as we were saying, our indigenous grape of Umbria, the Grechetto. Please try to remember the right pronunciation. I'm trying. In Italian, we say when there is a CH, Grechetto, not Grechetto, even if all over the world people say Grechetto. So I'm very precise about the name. But actually, this grape is the expression of the terroir. What we have seen at this limestone, sort of a medium mixed soil that we have, and it's a sort of a kind of grape that is very mineral, very tasty, and actually not because it's my wine, but the 2019 vintage, what we are having now, it's unbelievable. It's phenomenal. I really love it. It's a kind of grape that you can really enjoy by the glass, just a fresh and fruity. This is a stained steel vinification, so it doesn't have any oak. It's not very heavy, it's not very intense, but on the nose, it's crispy, it's mineral, comes out all the grapes, still the first sort of more fruits than the vinification. And once you taste it, the minerality and the sort of the very nice taste you have on sort of not sweet, but there is ripe grapes, so ripe fruits and fresh. And now it's a little bit red, as you can see on the label. It's a little bit red because, of course, we refrigerated. It's a little bit cold. It's the right temperature to taste it, actually. And if I touch with my finger and I influence the temperature, will be back white. So the label has this very particular characteristic. It turns red when it's medium temperature and when it's ready to drink, and will be back white when it's room temperature. That sometimes it's even very good to taste as well. When you have a sort of a meat, probably you will prefer a sort of room temperature. If you are having a sort of an aperitivo, will be probably better have a sort of a little bit refrigerated, chilled wine.
Absolutely.
What do you think? What do you feel, Laine? Which is tasting this wine? What are you thinking about?
So for me, I get a lot of the tropical citrus fruits specifically. I mean, lots of ripe lemon is coming through on this, with also a nice little bit of peach and I think even like some melon, honestly. This kind of reminds me a little bit of an unoaked Chardonnay on the nose. It's very similar in the fruit qualities, I would say. But on the palate, absolutely. You definitely get that minerality, which I thoroughly enjoy in wines, and a nice crisp acidity. I mean, definitely felt my...
Yeah, the minerality, acidity, it's very high and clean, refreshing. Yes, it's a wine that we always say in Umbria, talking about let me take the recipe book of Nonna Marcella. So actually, this is our piece of history and a sort of a very important book, but it's more a manual more than a cooking book for my family, because actually with this book, Grandma Marcella made a sort of many different recipes, local recipes that we have with our wine matched, and the pairing, sort of a description in Italian, and many different translations from, of course, English is the primary language. That's why you are so lucky. With your language, you can go all over. With Italian, you can stay in Italy or stay in an Italian restaurant all over. But and that's why we wanted to translate in 14 languages, from Deutsch to German, and then Spanish, and then Chinese, Korean, Russian. So many different languages for many different sort of different cultures, that they can understand our recipes, understand our wine pairing, but also, of course, the differences from use of the same ingredients sometimes. So with this kind of wine, we usually suggest here in Umbria sometimes just a simple bruschetta, grilled bread, sort of just with on top some fresh olive oil will be perfect. An aperitivo, nothing more, something simple, genuine, and very healthy. But if you are having a lunch or a dinner, why do not have a sort of a salmon, something more greasy, more heavy, probably with some white cream or something that you really like to share with or pair with this sort of fat uh, fish. And I really like with a turkey. Personally, I really like a turkey sandwich, something simple during the day. I never miss a glass of wine. So really like the cricket. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Anytime, any season. And of course, I'm curious always to ask what people like to share and to pair with the cricket. What do you usually have, Elaine?
So I like, with the Goretti, I usually like to have, like you're saying, like salmon or fish. But I also find this is really refreshing, even with a lot of different appetizers, especially ones
Right.
seafood, like anything that's involving like shrimp or scallops. Particularly love, but that's just and sushi. I also like sushi with these guys with Goretti. But
Nice.
I don't know. I like to do white wine with a lot of my my seafood and fish and chicken dishes, and then I typically go with the reds for a lot of other things.
Yes. I also just want to share with you very quickly the just some information. When we talk about technical information for the Grechetto, let me see where is the about the Grechetto. We always are talking about probably something simple. Can you say it?
Yes.
Very good. So now better see also what we do. Okay, vinification, we said it's alcoholic control, fermentation in stainless steel, control temperature, and the refining 1-2 months in bottle. That's important. It's not very technical, this description, but it's what we suggest. It's just to give you an idea of the production area, the Trebbio area. You have seen where we were before, the Contour Spalier, Spurred, Carden, and the west-east exposure, the solar exposure. Not many vine density, 4,000. We can reach 4,500, but we are still not very close one to the other because we want to give the right space, every grape, every vine to express, to have their roots more deeply. And interesting is the altitude. It's 330 meters above sea level. We are same altitude of the winery of the tower. It's actually for Umbria, it's a quite high hill, not very high, but it's quite high. We have a nice wind during the winter that makes a sort of a nice fresh, crispy air that I think helps very much to this crispness, and you can find again on the crispness in the wine.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was gonna say, I saw like you're talking about the DOC, and I'm sure most people watching this probably are familiar, but that is the appellation that the wine is from, and it does have to follow certain rules
Right.
and standards. But also the Colli Perugini DOC that this wine is from is the hills of Perugia, correct, Sarah?
Right. All the hills around Perugia. Perugia, it's an Etruscan city. Beautiful. If you haven't been seen here, the winery, but also the Perugia city, I invite you to come because there is a very beautiful jazz festival, the chocolate festival. It's full of history over there. It's just 10 minutes from the winery. So the winery is completely in the countryside, but you really will enjoy also to have a walk in downtown. There is a lot of history behind there, and was a very nice underground city because the Pope was defense himself during the war thousands of years ago, of course, but still having the underground city in Perugia. So you can see both. It's a sort of double city in one.
Oh, that's very cool. I actually did not know that about Perugia.
Yeah.
And another fun thing about Perugia, for those watching and curious, you're just about, what, an hour and a half drive from Florence?
Right.
Yes. So if you're ever in Tuscany, feel free to drive over and go see Perugia and explore Umbrian wines, or go visit Goretti itself. It's all very close together and totally possible to do for a day trip.
Right. Yes, and we have a very nice lake, but I will talk about the lake influence with l'Arringatore, because actually we are going now to taste our Super Umbrian red wine, the Sangiovese, 70%, 20% Ciliegiolo, and 10% of Merlot. Let me put the other, so you can also see some more information, and we can move with, I'm still working on it, with l'Arringatore. So I prepared here also some little information, some short description of what l'Arringatore is. Can you say it?
Yes.
And let me see. So l'Arringatore, it's actually the flagship wine of our winery. The wine that really express ourselves and our family. The name comes from the name of a statue that was found in our vineyards, l'Arringatore. That is in Etruscan name. The real name is called the Aulometello. L'Arringatore actually is the nickname because he was a speaker, an orator. He was talking to people. That's why we are saying that when you drink this wine, you are going to talk a lot.
I like that.
Can you see me?
I'm still looking at your text sheet.
Ah, okay, text sheet. Okay, let me see. So let me see more information closer so you can see better and have a right for you. So the cultivation system is always the same. It's a contour espalier with a spored garden. The exposure, it's what we have seen on the vines and the vineyards before. Yes, the vineyards are about 15 years old. And very important is that we are a little bit less altitude. Okay. That mitigates very much the climate. And the harvest, it's usually at the end of August, and sometimes goes at the beginning of September, but in the last years was always at the end of August. And we have a controlled alcoholic fermentation and maturation, and we use French oak barrels, and these barrels are used for about 14 months. Sometimes we reach even 16 months because the barrels are never new, are second time used, and sometimes a third time used. And this is very important because we don't want to close or to actually to cover very much the identity of the wine. We really want that the grape comes out, even if it has a long aging. We really want the wine express the territory, the grape, and the terroir, so the climate as well. And important is this very complex and intense. Let me be back with you. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Very good. So let's pour our l'Arringatore. I'm very excited every time, even if I was born with l'Arringatore. I'm very excited every glass I'm having with my loved one. I know it's like a mother. My father is always saying, "Let's a mother. You will never need to say it's my favorite," but I'm always saying he is my favorite. Actually, it's the kind of wine that you can really match with everything. It's round but velvety, intense, powerful. From the color, I will keep watching this wine before drinking and enjoying a glass for hours. It's such a deep red, a ruby red, sort of a shiny, almost, you will say, young wine, but still already sort of a powerful red.
Yes.
On the nose, you still have cherries, very ripe cherries, sort of clamp and strawberry probably. And but at the same time, if you keep smelling and focusing on the nose, I will say already tobacco, chocolate, leather, something completely opposite. That's why we are used to say that is the wine that everybody loves. It's the kind of wine that women love for the roundness, for the velvety. But let's taste and then. On the palate, clean, velvety, crispy, and round. The tannins are very elegant. We have tannins, but are not too much aggressive. You can really say, I just have a sip, I want another one, I want to taste it better. So, and after sort of a few seconds, a few minutes you are having on your mouth, you can have such a long taste, a long finish. It's the perfect wine anytime you're having a good time, just relaxing. But if you have a nice steak, would be great. Steak or sometimes a spicy food. I actually have to say that sometimes when I'm having a steak, I prefer to have the Sagrantino because it's 100% just one variety. Here we have a mixture. I remind you the Sangiovese, the big Sangiovese, and believe me, the grapes doesn't know that they are in Umbria. We are talking very much about Tuscany. We are about 1 hour from Florence, 1 hour and a half, but from Tuscany we are 20 minutes. So if the grapes, the vines, the vineyards are in Tuscany or here, almost the same. So if you're used to have a Chianti, you will understand something very similar here. It's a sort of Sangiovese Grosso, same kind of grape. And the touch of international grape de Merlot keeps you remind of the taste of something that probably you know. So I'm used to talk with hands even by Zoom. Sorry, I said I will keep, but it's stronger than me. So I'm trying. But curious to know, what do you think about L'Arringatore?
I love this wine, and I feel like it's always a wine that kind of gets in the, not in a bad way, but in the shadow of the Sagrantino. You know, it's kind of, I don't know, I kind of view it as like the queen of your wines.
Right.
The Sagrantino is your king. And I love this wine because I think on the nose and on the palate, like you were talking about, it has that perfect balance of the fresh fruit and the earthy leather complexity that comes with it. And I know for myself, I love a wine that I have to keep smelling and keep tasting, and it changes. And I find something each time that I go to smell and taste. And this is one of those wines. And I agree, I love Chiantis and I love Sangiovese, and there's just something, there is something very familiar about this wine, but I do fairly enjoy it. And I think it is perfect for just to have by itself, but also makes a great dish. I personally like to pair this with a lot of basil and tomato dishes. So any pasta dish or a chicken parmesan or an eggplant parmesan. That's the kind of wine that I like to pair with it. Something that kind of goes with all those tomato, basil, oregano, all those spices that you get in Italy.
Right, I agree very much with the tomato base, because we have a sort of a little kind of secret at the winery with the Nonna Marcella. She does a sort of bruschetta with some tomato sauce on top, and it's so good, it's delicious. And there is a nice acidity of the tomato that comes out and really match a little bit with the wine. that the pairing exalts the intensity of the grape and the fruitiness of the wine, but the acidity, you really clean your palate, so really helps the wine to taste it better in a sort of minutes and minutes that you have in your glass and mouth tasting.
Absolutely.
So I agree, really nice. For L'Arringatore, I have to say that we have not just the regular bottle with the 0.75 bottle, but we also have a magnum of 1.5 liters and 3 liters. It's a party wine. As we were saying, people are enjoying L'Arringatore, any kind of taste, any kind of age. That's important. Very much millennials really like, because it's not too heavy. Even if it's 14.5% of alcohol, you don't feel it. You glass by glass, you are enjoying, and you are saying, I'm not tired of it. It's not too heavy. I'm actually enjoying. So you are drinking, and actually you are going to use his name. Remember, so during the tasting, we are learning some Italian words. L'Arringatore, someone who talk. So next time that you have someone that talks a lot, you can say, you are a sort of L'Arringatore. You talk a lot. Quindi L'Arringatore. Remember the name of the wine, you will remember a nice Italian word.
I love that. I love that indeed. Yeah. For those who are curious about the statue, I thought it was very cool when I got to visit the winery with Sarah. It's a pretty famous statue, but the gesture of the statue, if you're looking at the video, is they like extend their arm out, and they have their robe, or I guess toga, like over.
Yes, a toga.
And extending out and talking. And I think most people have seen a version of that statue or pose. And that is the orator. That is the statue that they found on the property and the base for this name, which I think is very cool. And I love how it ties in to this wine. So again, I would let people, if you have any questions, feel free to turn on your audio or chat. But if not, we can wait till the end of the third wine as well. So that will be moving on to the Sagrantino. Unless you have anything else to say about the L'Arringatore, Sarah.
Yes, I would like to say something about L'Arringatore that probably people will say, yes, something that reminds you, I want the wine that makes you talk, because sometimes people don't remember this particular name, L'Arringatore. But another thing is that L'Arringatore is great today, because we release the wine only when it's ready to drink. But perfect L'Arringatore is for a vertical tasting. Just to remind you about the vertical tasting, what means, it's the same wine, same L'Arringatore wine, but different vintage, tasted at the same time, comparing the different flavor that the wine has on the time during the years with the aging. And you will love to see how the wine evolve year by year. We have done just a couple of days ago 25 years of a full vertical tasting. It was exciting at the beginning. It was emotional during, because I didn't think to have such a big feeling of what the climate gives, the terroir that we know very well, but how it changed year by year. 25 years, it's a long time. So for sure was a very nice experience. So probably next time we can have this vertical tasting.
Absolutely, I would love to do that. So how was the wines that were 25 years old? Were they really good?
Actually, we were very lucky for almost all bottles. We have just a couple of bottles that they were a little bit tired, but it's normal after many years. Also, sometimes it's just the bottle is not all the entire production of that year that probably will be not still evergreen as we expect or as we wish, because we don't expect it. For a wine that has a 25 years of aging, happens a lot. Sometimes, you know, the natural cork, we are just, the natural cork, I want to show you. Let me see. Yeah. So it's very long. It's something that gives a sort of an isolation, or actually a sort of helps the wine to age, but at the same time, for sure, happens that this is a piece of a natural tree called a cork. So can happen that sometimes, you know, in the years, this bottle, this wine aged in horizontal, touching the wine in continuous for years, can happen that sometimes it's corked. That was a couple of years we had this problem, so we deep tasted this wine. But in total, I can say that it has such a very growing life for 15, 18 years, I can say. The 19, 20 years was a little bit decreasing, but after that, I will say that is a sort of a constant in the time. So it's a wine that really aged very well, and with the time really gives you less fruit, more intensity, and you understand better what the aging gives to this wine.
Awesome, good to know. I do have a wine, or I have a case in my cellar that I'm planning on aging for a little bit of time. So I'm excited that I get to look forward to an awesome wine that's going to continue to evolve, of course.
Very good, sure. Let's do it next time. Okay, now it's time to move. Always in Umbria, always at the Goretti Winery, but we are now in Montefalco. This wine, already actually, I'm used to say that the name Montefalco Sagrantino, the name of the wine, already gives a big information about this wine. Montefalco is the name of a hill. For who already have been in Umbria, it's very close to Assisi. So the St. Francis, a very well-known saint that lived in that place, where it's the place of the Christianity for Umbria region. That is 25 minutes driving from the winery. And Montefalco, it's actually this beautiful hill that it's also called the balcony of Umbria. The balcony of Umbria for a couple of reasons. First of all, one, because we are higher in altitude comparison to the 330 meters of the winery where we are now. In Montefalco, we reach almost 380, 400 meters. So the altitude changed very much, and actually being the highest hill around the area makes a nice wind exposure, and the microclimate changed. Sometimes the wind that's a little bit crispy and more cooler. So we have a sort of in Fahrenheit, talking about Fahrenheit, probably sort of 10 degrees less. That makes a big difference.
Yes.
Between us here, the winery in Perugia, so, and the 20 minutes driving in Montefalco. For the Montefalco, we have 5 comments in the Montefalco area. And we are right in the middle, in the center, in the heart, Montefalco. There is Bevagna, Castelritaldi, Giano dell'Umbria, and Bastardo. We are actually right in the middle. So very important is that we are sort of the crew. What in France they will say the crew, and where all over people say what the identity of the Montefalco area and the Sagrantino, where the very specific grape grown on this area express really and very much the identity of the grape. The Sagrantino is, sorry, let me take just a second to move and change the, I can use a same glass because for sure the Sagrantino will cover and the tannins. When we think about the Sagrantino, we have to think about the very intense and strong tannins that represents and give to the Sagrantino the powerful and the body of this wine.
I agree. Like I said, for people who are not familiar with these wines, this is the king of the Goretti wine.
Yes, on the neck label, you have the DRCG. So we were talking before about appellations. For Laryngatora, we had a DRC for the Bricato as well. Actually, denomination, origin, control, origin, denomination, sorry. And here we have also a G. It means geographic. So it's here the government not just gives us to pay an extra tax only, like for the others, but there is also an extra certification, extra control of the area, is more specific, the area, it's less, it's actually less the quantity of grapes every vine can grow. And we have a certain rules that we have to respect. For example, the 30 months of aging in oak, the French oak we use for the barrels. The barrique we use are French oak. We tried with the American oak, but it's very intense. Probably sometimes it's too heavy for this grape. Even if the tannins are intense, still very, very healthy after 4 or 5 years. It's growing. If before with Laryngatori we have 25 years, with this wine probably we can have 30 years. We are still having a shorter vertical tasting, just because this wine actually was a wine that we wanted to have on our wine portfolio. So our father Stefano Goretti and our Zio Gianluca uncle, Zio Gianluca, decided to invest in Montefalco about 25 years ago. And we had the chance to get this central piece of land that is beautiful to show you once you are coming. But I can send you some beautiful pictures of the place, of the area. And if I do not wrong, I sent you a video, but we can find and share again with our friends. The Sagrantino is very different. It's unique. Is something that our father and our uncle said, for sure, with the Grechetto as the indigenous white variety, and with the Sagrantino, tasting those two wines, you can really understand very well what is Umbria on the glass. The crispy, fresh, fruity wine, and on the other hand, the very tannic, intense, velvety, but, oh, hi. And velvety wine we have with the Sagrantino. And so one thing of the bottle, it's very heavy, the glass is very dark, because we want to protect this wine, and the label is really amazing. It's awesome how our mother made this painting representing a wall coming from the Saracens. They had a very colored dress, and they were moving by horses with this very colored dress. And we want to take the main colors of the dress of the Saracen people to represent every singular part of the wall on our little part of the winery. There is still a little ruin of the wall of the Saracens. And also the label is metallic, it's not paper. Important that, because we can have a long aging. And tasting the wine, the first thing that people say is probably, is it a bitter, a little bit tannic, but not too much. Important, because for this Sagrantino, we keep the refining in bottle for 1 extra year. And it means that the people will not say, I like it, I'm enjoying this wine, but probably it's too young. No, this is the Sagrantino. If you are enjoying this wine, it's because you like the grape and you understand that you need time to understand the Sagrantino. So don't have just a sip, have a sip, talk, eat, do something, and probably have even a piece of chocolate and then taste again, because it will evolve on your mouth. It will open up tasting. And we are used to say that the Sagrantino is a wine that for sure you will love, but you need time. So probably for who doesn't love it immediately, it's just because you need to find the right match. Probably we are used to say, why do not have something spicy? Nonna is used to have for her book a sort of a pork. We have here the porchetta roasted with a lot of spicy in the middle that gives a little bit of big nose when you open the crunchy part around, and the very fatty goes very well this Trentino.
Awesome. Yeah, this wine is amazing. But yes, especially coming from the Loringatore, this is a much more powerful. I mean, it is, that's why I say it's the king, because it's so much more masculine and robust and tannic and full body. Whereas the Loringatore to me is just a little more delicate. It's a little more velvety and smooth and feminine. And I love just the comparison between these two wines. And this is the wine you need with your steak. Next time you're eating your steak or pork, which that dish sounds incredible. I might have to get that recipe from your grandma. But yes, quite a lovely wine. And especially here in Illinois, we have a lot of livestock and access to a lot of great fresh cuts of meat and stuff. So these are two great wines to have. As you know, we are also landlocked, so we don't get as much of the fresh seafood for the Goretti as we would like, but we do have access to it, and some good seafood indeed with that as well. So Sarah, is there anything else on the Sagrantino, or we'll see if there's any questions or comments from anyone participating today?
I think actually I would like to say a lot about the wine, but let me see if someone has any question, or if you have in the future. I'm always here, and I will be happy to have you here back with any question, and of course visiting us as soon as will be possible. But I'm glad to have you here. There actually, I feel to have you here, but. To have you as our partners. Anytime people will love to taste the wine, they get the chance to have you. But any question, I will be very happy to answer.
Awesome. Well, I guess while people think of questions, maybe I'll let you continue talking about the Sagrantino. If you had anything else to say on the Sagrantino.
For the Sagrantino, we also can say about the 2014 vintage. That was a vintage very interesting for us because all over Italy was actually not one of the main vintage, was not considered one of the top vintage all over, but for us was really good. So as you can taste, the wine is good balance, it's a good amount of tannins, but elegant. So we really added the Sagrantino, really a great identity expression on this vintage. So we are happy to say that not sometimes this isolation we have in this little region in the middle of the country, the Umbria region where we are located. Very far away from up north, from the Alps, and very far away from the sea influence from both sides. Really, there's different climate that makes it something different every time, every year, every vintage.
Absolutely.
I know you have a yes.
The tasting maps that are given in the kits, we do have a little map of Italy with
right.
Yeah, so you can kind of see exactly what Sarah's talking about with Italy and the diversity of the climate and exactly where Umbria is and how it has its own unique climate and soil and aspect on these wines. And I think it's very fun to be able to try some indigenous grapes because I think a lot of us, especially here in America, really only know kind of the big grapes like Sangiovese and the Pinot Grigio. And, so it's very fun to try some of these more unique grape varieties, since Italy has, hundreds, if not thousands, of grape varieties to offer the world. And so I think it's kind of fun. And the Sagrantino to me is very much that wine. It's very unique, delicious, amazing. I love this wine a lot. And so I think it's just been great. And I'm really glad that you guys are providing this opportunity to let us taste these wines and almost like we're visiting you in Italy. Because like I said, that would be a little more ideal.
Thank you, great. And just a curiosity about one choice that we have done in the years when we decided to produce the Sagrantino. The Sagrantino all over the Montefalco area started as a sweet wine. We decided to have the dry version because we already have a sweet wine with the Cracchetto, the Vinsanto, and we didn't want to have a sort of a competitor in the family, but also because we really liked how the wine expressed itself in the dry version. So the tannins are quite intense, but same. When you are talking about the Sagrantino, the main characteristic are the tannins. So that's what you need to expect. But it's important to say and to see if on the glass the tannins are elegant, velvety, how they are a sort of gentle and not too much aggressive. That's the important. That's the point that I think the winemaker, the Emiliano Falsini, our winemaker with our uncle Gianluca Goretti, really find the way to the wine to keep our being still the same variety of what is the Sagrantino, but being on the modernity taste. So important to say that people today don't want anymore a wine that is too heavy. They want to enjoy the wine. They want to enjoy one glass and get another one and get another one, just that, and not being too much heavy and saying, okay, I will enjoy tomorrow. Even if this is another point, when you are in a place that allowed you to have the bottle taking home, you can really enjoy the wine for 3 days. Usually, this is the day that we are saying that opening the wine today, tomorrow will be even better. Probably in a couple of days will be even more bigger taste. So enjoy today, but don't be sad if you still have a little bit for tomorrow. Will be even better.
Awesome. Yeah, this would be a great wine to even decant, to let it breathe and open up a lot more as well. And I'm excited. I'm excited to do a vertical tasting with this wine too, because I think there's a lot of amazing potential with how this wine is going to evolve in the bottle over the next couple of years. Already with, also already having so much age on it, as you said, like you having to age it for so long in barrel and the whole process that goes into it. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, so I guess that kind of concludes our tasting. So we will, if anyone, Dan, Danette, you guys, anyone in your group has any questions, let us know. But if not, we'll Sarah, salute to Sarah so she can go and enjoy the rest of her Saturday evening. Again, thank you so much for giving up your
My pleasure. Salute.
Yes, salute.
By the glass.
Yes. Ah.